The OFM Business Hour on the sound of your life this Thursday evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're now shifting our attention to part 2 of my discussion with Kirsten Smit from Citadel. It's centered on the financial implications of divorcing and some of the considerations that one needs to make in order to bounce back financially. Once more, it's a personal finance segment from Kirsten. How can individuals realistically adjust their expectations and financial habits to accommodate the new reality of running 2 households? I think particularly for the breadwinners, that's quite a big one.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think it's about, when I sit with clients and with friends going through this, I always say, first and foremost, control the controllable. So emotions are hard to get a handle on, but there's a lot on the financial aspect which can give you power by actually knuckling down and saying, right, I need to track very carefully all my ins, all my outs. That automatically gives you some power. And the minute you're feeling empowered, you're in a better position to manage and handle emotions and that side of a separation. With 2 households, it's suddenly realizing, okay, hold on, we've got double expenses here. And it's about you then saying, okay, how am I going to best manage these expenses going forward? And it's often about picking a lane and prioritizing. On a Sunday, sit down with a cup of tea or a glass of wine and saying, okay, what did this last week look like? Just do a quick track. It can take you 10 minutes and you start developing a trend. And all of that just gives you a sense of empowerment and saying, okay, I've got a handle on this. I know what I'm doing. I know where I need to cut back or where I'm doing okay and how to move forward.
Well, how crucial is it, Kirsten, for divorcing parents to prioritize updating their wills, medical aid policies, and investment strategies, notably that one, as they embark on their new lives post-divorce? That can also be a difficult one to now sit down and talk about with your ex, you know?
Absolutely. I'll start with will. So that's often one that gets forgotten about. So legally, you're given 3 months post a divorce where the law will say, okay, well, obviously you were too emotionally trenched to update you. We'll understand if you don't want all your assets to go to your ex-spouse. But after 3 months, you legally have to have changed your will. Otherwise, it's viewed as though if you hadn't changed your will, that you wanted everything to go to your ex-spouse.
Sure.
So that's an essential. And then also with your wills now, with each spouse having independent wills that they've now had to sort through, please, if you've got kids, it's essential to make sure that you've got some kind of agreement around guardianship. So we've often seen parents have nominated different guardians, and then it's got to go through the High Court. It really is shambolic. So that is, you've got to realize that even though you've separated and you've got kids, you've got common kids, you've got to chat through these things and make sure that you've got those kind of boxes ticked. Then when it comes to investments and policies and all of that, you've got to realize now you're starting with a revised balance sheet, a revised set of expenses and income streams. So it's almost like starting from scratch. So your whole financial plan needs to change. And this is where I often say to clients, it really does make sense to have a strong financial advisor on board with you, where they're able to strip the emotion out and help you plot a viable plan going forward and put goals in place to realize, right, this is what I'm going to need to build up to reach financial independence one day. They help you think of things like you might not have thought of, to say, okay, hold on, where should I best place assets? What do I have on my balance sheet potentially that isn't really working or is too expensive or is some silly endowment policy that I took out when I was 19 and it's cost more in commission than it's ever given me in returns. So I think it's just about having that objective sounding board, someone that you trust, someone that you have rapport with that can walk that journey with you.
All right. Any closing remarks from your side, Kirsten? Any encouraging words, I think, to couples that are facing this really, it's difficult, like we've said, a really difficult time as they uncouple financially as well?
Absolutely. I think as hard as it is, and I mean, the saying goes like diamonds are made under immense pressure. And I think the same can apply to a divorce. As hard as it is, I think you need to see the opportunity in the hardness and realize that there's a whole new journey ahead for you and that there are ways to get through it, and it can be hugely empowering, and you come out on the other side even stronger. I'm yet to see a client who's come out on the other side worse off than they were initially. And I think it's just about having the right mindset and the ability to realize there's going to be a lot of hard, but there's a lot I can control and empower myself with along the way.
Thank you, Kirsten, for those motivating words. I'm sure they've reached the ears of someone who really needs to hear them. We appreciate your time as well as your insights.
The Business Hour on OFM.